Mr. Joey.
Mr. Mar.
How are ya?
I am good.
I am politically charged.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
We do our best approach at summarizing the main topics, especially as it relates to life in the city and real estate and taxes with the Canadian election we have coming up.
Yep.
Yeah. So we look at all parties and we kind of
talk very high level about what the promises are, basically.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. We get into some of the places we ate. And then just go right into politics.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is a political podcast now.
It is, yeah.
And if you stay tuned to the very end, we have a very important message for everyone, and that is be decisive, not decisive. Enjoy episode 88.
Enjoy. Welcome to the Toronto Livings Podcast, a conversation about all things Toronto with a focus on real estate, the culture, and of course, the food.
I'm Mark Savell.
And I'm Joey Virgilio.
And we're realtors with Sage Real Estate working together as a Toronto Livings team with a focus on helping you buy better, sell higher, and of course, having a little bit of fun along the way. Hello, Joey.
Hello, Mark.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. We took a break last week.
We did.
Yeah. So we're back.
We're back.
We're fresh.
We're fresh-ish. Yeah. I feel fresh.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah. It's Easter weekend in the city.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So we got kind of like a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
On both ends of the spectrum. We get 4 days this week and then
4 days
next week.
Yeah.
Although in real estate, like Easter Monday is kind of...
It's a weird one.
Yeah. We don't officially get it off.
Yeah.
So how you been, man?
I've been good. Oh boy. I have some, how was your week? Where did you eat? This one is a good one.
This one's a good one. Okay. I'm going to give you a whole section to get into that.
Okay.
But I think we should start by saying kind of what we're going to talk about this week.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because we have an election coming up.
We do.
We've been talking about getting our elbows up for the last 4 episodes. And I think we've been talking so much off air about everyone's platform. We were like, we should just do like a summary episode.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little, I think it's a good wrap up of it. We're about to hit elections. Like
next week is elections. I think this weekend, Easter long weekend, you could actually advance.
Do the early vote.
Yeah. And then there was also two podcasts, 2 debates this week, the French and the English one.
Right.
I watched, the French was really hard to watch.
Was it? Yeah.
Well, they did the voiceovers.
Yeah, the voiceover stuff.
Yeah, it was like a Jackie Chan, early Jackie Chan. You're like, oh, come on, man. Like, I know there's going to be action, but I just can't stick through it.
Yeah.
But I watched the English one. It was a little bit more insightful. I don't think it swayed the position I'm going to be taking in this election. But.
Which makes sense. I will say I haven't watched the full thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
I will be, but just seeing the clips of it, I'm just like, this is what a debate should be like.
That's how you felt?
Yeah, well, a little bit more than if I'm comparing it to the States specifically.
Okay, that's interesting you bring that up because I think I preferred the States version of a debate better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's just 2 people.
Yeah.
So it's like you really can hone in on what each person's stance is.
True.
But I did kind of like the Canadian style because the 2 least popular are kind of just throwing jabs in. They're not really participating. They're just like, oh yeah, well, what about this? And then it just kind of derails everything. So, I mean, for entertainment value, the Canadian was probably a little bit more topical.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think I like the US one-on-one style. Just let's get down to it.
You know what? I won't fully make a comment yet. I've only seen clips, little clips and snippets so far. I just saw it was a little more of it felt a little more of an educated conversation.
Okay, but I think you're okay just doing that. I don't even think sitting down there for the full 2 hours is going to fully inform you.
Right.
Because after doing like the deep dive research on all this, and I got to say, you went really deep on this. You put together a really good sheet, which I think we should share.
I think so too.
Yeah. Joey did a really good comparison chart using AI.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's how you should be using this thing.
You know what's funny is I was looking for, I just wanted unbiased somebody to give me the details without it being like, yeah, but also look what this guy's doing. And I couldn't find it. It was, everything always had this
certain angle to it.
This certain angle. Yeah. So that's when I finally, after, I don't know, it was like a week or 2 weeks of just trying to get just the details. I just went to AI and was like, just give me the point forms of what's happening.
And I think that's so reflective of where a lot of voters are at now. Like, I'm not a party voter. I think in the States, you're a conservative, or you're a Republican, or you're a Democrat. Like, you just kind of live that way. And that it's for the most people. Me, myself up here, like, I'm voting for whoever I think resonates best for me in each election. I don't have like a particular party that I'm like glued to.
Yeah. I will say that at least from my point of view, I don't think we're not planning to make this a podcast of a heavily weighted side.
Yeah. There's going to be some bias. That's, I think, human nature. But I'm not going to say which party I'm voting for in this podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of pick apart everyone's platform that I think could be improved and changed. And that's just the way it's going to be. But in doing all this deep research, I think what I've come to the conclusion of, like, more than ever, politics is just a popularity party. Whoever's the more popular person, whoever has the better sound bites, I don't necessarily know that their platforms are even going to be executed to the extent.
So well put. Yes. Whoever's doing the sound bites best these days seems to be taking it home.
Yeah. And maybe all days it's just more amplified now because there's much more like specific tools, the TikToks and the Twitters of the world, where you can really hone in on one soundbite versus back in the day where, I don't know, they'd go to like carnivals and
yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's politics, man. Like, we're gonna do our best here. Don't grind us.
Yeah. Yes. Let's start with that too. Yeah.
Like, also, like, we have fun on this podcast. This is not like your go-to source for politics. This is just two guys kind of sitting down and talking about what we see here.
It's a good pre.
That's my disclaimer.
That's a disclaimer. Yeah. Good disclaimer to it.
Yeah. But that aside, Joey, how was your week, man?
As a good transition.
Where'd you eat, man?
As this is not the source to get all of your politics information, let's start with how was your week and where did you eat?
Just keep it simple. Let's start light.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with Molly C's birthday was this week.
Happy birthday, Molly.
Yes, was yesterday, actually.
Okay.
And we went out. I took her to a place called And/Or.
Okay.
Which you hadn't heard of before.
No, hang on. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
So early on in the podcast, Joey told me about a Let It Go burger. And I tried really hard to search a Let It Go burger until we discovered Joey was trying to say alouette. So when you say and/or, is it literally and-or or is it like and/or?
No, it's and/or. You can dine in the and portion of the restaurant or the or portion of it. Yeah, it's for simple brains.
Okay. Glad we were able to demystify that first part. And/or. All right. Tell me about And/or.
So we did, if you have been on TikTok scrolling through what restaurants you should be eating at in Toronto, it's the one that is built like a cave, basically. Okay. So they have a top portion, which is the and portion, where it's like, all above ground, you have windows, and then you can take the elevator down to where it's built like a cave. So you kind of go in, and it's got a cave feel to it. The walls are kind of rocky and it's got a light kind of string through the middle. It's very dimly lit. We went because we were trying to catch a show, so we went at like 5:00. So it was just pure sunlight, and then we walked into this deep dark cave, and I was like, all right, well, we're just gonna commit to this.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like hold on, how many courses here? I want to count this because I don't want to mess it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 course menu. Nice. It was a set menu, and everything was done like flavor bombs. It was all very unique, and it was a really good. If you're looking for like a good, you're gonna splurge for some
special occasion.
Yeah, some special occasion stuff. I highly recommend.
And/or is a place to do it.
And/or was a great spot. Yeah, good vibes, good, incredible food, incredible flavors. I think the highlight. We had a couple highlights, but man, the beginning they give you this little like teaser plate, this like little small dish plate, and they had this arancini. With risotto inside of it, and even though it's a Japanese infused place, they had this risotto ball right at the beginning, and that was it. I just took a bite of that, and I was like, okay,
sold.
Yeah,
we picked a good place.
Yes,
awesome. And did you make it to a show after?
We did. Yeah, we went to Second City.
Nice.
Yeah, so we did the other show. They're doing 2 right now. One's called like Swipe Right or something like that. The other one's called, I don't remember. We went to the other one.
Okay. And you enjoyed that as well.
So it's such a good night. If you're into improv, if you're into sketch comedy, it's just something different. And like, I'll keep vouching for it all day
I think
long.
you're onto something with it. I think like comedy in the city is so underrated.
Yeah.
And the few that I've been to, I've always left quite happy.
Yeah. it's like good genuine entertainment.
Yeah.
And like, you laugh out loud when you're seeing people think on their feet in that way, it just sparks something.
It's a belly busting laughing experience.
Yes.
I could vouch for that. And I'm going to say you are the founding father of comedy in the city, of promoting like going to comedy shows again. Bring it back.
So on board with it.
Yeah.
We live near Absolute. We do Absolute all the time. 100%. Support the comedy clubs.
Yeah. No, I love it. Where is this Andor place, by the way?
Andor is on Queen West. It is 1040 Queen Street West. Yeah.
Okay. Simple as that.
So we'll do some links and we'll, do it. If you got a special occasion coming up, book it up.
If you like arancini balls made the Japanese way.
Yes.
If you like dining in caves. If you like 5 p.m. dinners.
There is so much more that was on that menu. I can't pronounce like 90% of what it was.
Yeah.
The waiters were incredible, knowing every last piece of it, but highly recommend.
Okay, Andor, check it out.
Andor. Okay. Fill me in on what happened in the life of Mark.
Life of Mark. Quick life update. We the reason why we had this little pause last week is we went to the Bahamas for 4 days.
That's right.
Love the Bahamas. Something about it is so magical, so special. Just good reset. Like that sun for 4 days just really. So we ate very well down there. It was incredible. We stayed at Baha Mar, second time there, and huge fan of it. I mean, I know I say this every time we go on vacation, but like we're like, should we purchase in the Bahamas? I don't know what's going to happen there, but definitely a beautiful place and a really good relaxing time.
Love it.
So we splurged on that trip. So there was not a lot of money to spend this week in fine dining. We did not have as nice of a elevated experience as you did, but we went to this place called Bauhaus.
Okay.
Bauhaus. Yeah, Bauhaus. Bauhaus is a style of architecture, but also Bauhaus is in bao buns, as in moma dumplings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my wild connection here. But this place is really good. 171 Dundas Street West. It's a little walk-up place. I wouldn't say this is fine dining by any stretch. It's more just like a quick bite. Really good lunch spot, probably. Like you just want a quick in and out.
Love it.
Yeah, this is the place for you. There isn't a ton of seating, and we did have to wait a bit, but it was worth it. We completely overloaded on dumplings. Like completely. They've got this one order. I think it's like $10. You get 16 mini dumplings.
Ooh.
But they're soup dumplings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they in a soup?
No.
Or they're just dumplings that you would put in a soup, but they're not?
They're dumplings with soup inside of it. As white people were like,
magic.
whoa.
This is magic.
Yeah. My wife, who's half Chinese, and her mom, who's full Chinese from Hong Kong, this is very normal stuff. To us whiteys, we're like, what?
Soup inside?
Are you kidding? I'll pay. No, it's like the most affordable thing on the menu, but it was so good. And the flavor of this was next level.
Love it.
Really, really good flavor of these soup dumplings. Again, as a white person, this is probably very basic to the Asian culture, but no, man, I was like, oh, this is really good. And like, it's so funny because her mom's like, oh, dip it in the vinegar sauce. I'm like, no. And then I'm like, this is probably equivalent of like a white person seeing someone else eat a hamburger and putting no condiments. And the person being like, the hamburger's great as is. Just put ketchup. Like you could put anything on this thing. Her mom's like, you should really just try any of these really unique sauces. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna like raw dog it.
Yeah. It pains you to watch somebody eat it the wrong way.
Imagine someone eating a hot dog plain. You're like, what? That was me. But all that aside, Bauhaus, really good, super affordable. The four of us ate for under $60.
Well done. Yeah.
And like stuff to the brim. We even had leftovers. The bao buns were really good. Yeah. The steamed buns with like pork fillings inside. So
Love
we
it.
had that as well. Yeah. So salute to the Bauhaus.
Yes.
Yeah. And salute to Anne-Or.
Yes. Yeah. Salute. These are good recommendations this week.
Yeah. All right. Let's close that segment.
All right.
Yeah, so that segment's done. I actually want to introduce a new segment if I can.
Yeah.
It's called Things My Wife Bought on Amazon and I Approve of.
Okay.
I might do a side segment of things I don't approve of, but she's been on a hot streak right now, and like she's revolutionized our life with this one purchase.
Okay, wait, is it like storage hack type things or like anything along those lines?
We're gonna get there because we're buying so much crap on Amazon. We're gonna need storage hacks. We're not there yet. This was you heard me talk about it off air this week.
Did I?
I think I've sold 5 to my friends. It's a jewelry cleaner.
Yes. You were walking around the office talking about it.
Everybody about it. It's the ultrasonic jewelry cleaner. It's like $30 on Amazon, and it is the most mind-blowing discovery we've made this week. You basically put your jewelry in a little, size of a Tupperware, and you put 1 squirt of Dawn soap, and you turn this thing on for 90 seconds.
Oh, it's like a washer.
Kind of. It's an ultrasonic, so it's just like
it
vibrates at a very high frequency.
Interesting.
And it cleans all the dirt off your jewelry. Your stuff shines. I've been doing it every day when I come home. She's like, it's clean. You can stop. But I'm just so amazed by how simple and how efficient this tool is.
Okay, I like it. Yeah.
I'll leave it in the show
We'll
notes.
leave a link.
If you want shiny jewelry.
affiliate marketing is what's happening right now.
Don't say that word. Every time she buys something, she's like, you should add it to your blog or some. Like, I'm not an Amazon, but maybe I should.
Maybe this is it. We'll do one shout at every podcast.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a ton of stuff that we could talk about. So that's my plug for the week. And that being said, let's get into news you can use.
Let's do it. Well, the news you can use is kind of, I think, the encompassing of what this podcast is all about.
Yes.
The main headline is that the elections are coming up, and they're coming up on April 28th, or as we already alluded to, you can do it early.
Advance poll, advance vote, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of the intro to that topic. We're going to break down, I guess, some major points of each
high
party.
level,
high level stuff. We're not going to get too into the weeds.
Yeah, there's I'll say this: there's many topics that these politicians are speaking on, but in this episode, we want to kind of focus on the things that are probably relatable to our audience. So we're going to be talking about real estate, the environment, healthcare. Joey's got a bonus section on media. So kind of little fun things like that. And yes, this is not, again, an all-encompassing deep dive. This is kind of high-level stuff that I had a lot of misconceptions that when I was doing the readings on your research, I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let's dig a bit deeper. So that's the news you can use that the election's coming.
Yes, yeah. So it's news you can use mixed with some meat,
Yes.
and also some potatoes.
Some potatoes are coming in this one. I do want to squeeze in one little thing, though.
Let's hear it.
We've clearly talked about this ad nauseum.
Yep.
Declaring your home, the vacant home tax.
The vacant home tax.
Listeners, this is the last time we'll be talking about it for the 2025 podcast season.
And I will say, with good reason.
Because they've done a really good job explaining to people that you need to fill this out.
Yes.
So I secretly did not fill out one of my houses on purpose.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do a test run to see how many times they're going to contact me. And I got to tell you, I received 2 phone calls, 3 emails, and 4 letters in the mail reminding me.
I can't believe they called you.
They called me, yeah. It was a robocall.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Emails. I mean, okay, that was done with how awful this was rolled out.
Yeah. This
is a big step up.
A+. The city has made it has done a very good job communicating to you the importance of filling out this tax. These are some of the action needed now.
Yeah.
It came in a bright yellow envelope. Big fan of what they did to roll it out. Hopefully, we all understand this next year, so we don't have to waste so much money alerting people. But if you've not done it yet, this is the last boarding call for filling out your vacant tax.
Yes, yeah. If you miss the phone calls, if you miss the emails,
this is your last warning. And after that, you deserve what comes to you.
Love it.
Yeah, and Gold Leafs go. We're in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
clinched
right.
it. That's why I'm wearing my Leafs jersey.
It's Leafs jersey day.
Leafs jersey day.
Elbows up. We're all over the place, man.
Elbows up. I figured I might as well put on my Canadian maple leaf.
I should have been doing the same thing. We could have came in together like that.
Hey, let's hope this run. We could wear our jerseys every week if you want.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Playoff season. Okay, let's do it.
Should we grow beards?
I wish I could.
I got too many whites coming out. I'm not going to grow a beard, but every week we're going to wear Leafs jerseys. How's that?
I like it. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this.
Let's get into it. Okay. So let's get into the part. So we're going to take kind of a section per section and talk about each kind of promise, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's start with taxes. Taxes and wealth is what's kind of all encompassing here.
That's a very big topic that affects us all.
Yes.
Because remember, you can make as much money in the world, but if you're taxed high, it's how much you keep.
Yes.
We've learned through being entrepreneurs that you could earn a lot of money, but if you're not paying your taxes or if you're not efficient,
it hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts a lot.
It hurts.
When you're physically pulling that money out of your account to pass back to the government after you don't get it deducted from paychecks, and you realize how big and hefty that is,
how much of a chunk you're giving there. Yeah,
it hurts. Yeah.
And I've this year shifted to a PREC, which is a professional real estate corporation, and now I'm experiencing the corporate side of what that looks like living in Canada.
Right.
So let's get into
Let's get right into it. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through. So first, I'll go through the conservative promises.
Yeah,
and then I'll go through the liberal promises, and we'll kind of tackle one point at a time and talk things through.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, so the very first conservative tax, which I think is, I'm on board for it. I think both of them are trying to do this, and I'm going to say the first promise is they're cutting the lowest tax bracket from 15% to 12.75%, which the math over a year is $900 per person.
For the bracket that needs it the most.
Correct.
So maybe some listeners are like, well, what's $900 over 12 months? I agree, not a lot, but for someone who needs it, that is a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing that I kept hearing a misconception on is that the conservatives are going to lower the taxes by 15%. That's a very broad and inaccurate statement.
That's a headline statement.
That's a headline buzzworthy, and the world we live in can easily be. And I was one of those people who's like, I like that. I'm supporting that. Digging deeper, that is not what's happening. So as Joey said, they are going to cut the lowest marginal tax rate from 15% to 12.75.
Yes.
So your taxes are not being lowered by 15%.
Yeah.
Just want to say that.
No, exactly. You're taking 15% of what was 15% and bringing it down to 12.75.
Okay. Got that.
That's the first one.
All right. What are they doing? TFSAs. Talk to me about that.
TFSAs, the promise is to lift the limit by an extra $5,000 if invested in Canadian businesses.
Okay.
I think this is all in support of what's happening with tariff land, and this is just a little extra addition to
elbows
that.
up.
Yeah,
little
elbows up addition.
Okay. I want to pause here for a quick second. Tax-free savings account. Mark and Joey, big fans of this. We had a whole episode, which I'm going to link to in the show notes, about how this is a great tool to be utilizing to help you save up for your first place.
Absolutely.
So love the TFSA. Love that they're boosting it by 5,000. Only thing I didn't understand is the last 2 years, our limits were increased by 7,000 per year. So I don't know, and I couldn't find a clear answer on this. Is this 5 plus 7? Or if they're actually reducing
the next year from 7 to 5. Yeah.
I feel like it's a bonus because they want you to invest in Canadian companies, but a little bit murky on that one.
Yeah, it's not super clear. It isn't super clear.
Yeah.
Investing specifically into Canadian businesses is great.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm on board with it. But you're 100%. These are promises of what the Conservatives will try to be doing when they're actually in position. We'll see what actually comes to fruition.
So asterisks, popularity contest. People will say anything to get voted, but it's our job as citizens to hold them accountable on these promises.
Yep.
And side note, TFSAs are great. Use them, invest in them. Just don't have cash. Actually put them in if you're worried about
real investment.
Yeah, put in a GIC if you're super cautious. No harm there. Don't day trade in that because you will get taxed. But we love TFSAs. There's going to be a link to Joey describing some of the benefits of TFSA.
Love it.
Cool.
Next point. Defer capital gains. This is probably the biggest point. Defer capital gains tax if reinvested in Canada.
I love this one.
This is huge.
Yes.
And also something I think the states have been doing for like forever.
They have.
It makes sense to me. I think this is just something that's that feels very common sense that we should have been doing ages ago.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit because capital gains have been in the news quite a bit for the last year. The Liberals were talking about increasing the inclusion rate, and you and I talked about this in one of the past episodes. I'll link to it in the show notes. Got a lot of links in this episode. They were thinking of increasing the inclusion rate, which would, just to summarize it, result in you keeping less money in your pocket and paying more to the government. Yeah. The Conservatives' plan with this platform is to say when you sell that capital gains that you would have to pay, which could be $500,000 and quite higher in a lot of situations, you can keep that so long as you reinvest it in Canadian companies.
Right.
We definitely need to look at capital gains. I've said this for a long time. I meet with a lot of elderlies who I warn them that when you sell your investment property, you're going to have to pay this large sum. And that scares the heck out of them. And then most of them decide we're just going to pause. So we either need to have to look at, and I've said this before, I'm saying it again, changing the way we calculate. So if someone's owned a property for 50 years, I don't think they should be taxed as hard as someone who's owned it for 5 years. Yeah. There's got to be some sliding scale margin there. And this is it lines up with what the Americans are doing. I think it's a good way to reinvest in Canada and get more houses on the market.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like that note that you said of you speak with a lot of elderly people who are looking to get rid of investment properties and they won't. So that's holding up inventory that could otherwise start the first time purchaser at the property ladder.
And we don't need to sell off any lands. We don't need to expropriate any forests. This is stock we already have that's being held up because
they're going to get taxed. Yeah, heavily.
And I got to say this, the sellers are At some point, they're going to get taxed, whether it's them or their kids. So it's inevitable. But I think it's just hard seeing 50 years of holding a home to give 50% of your profit to the government.
Totally.
It's, I don't, I like this a lot.
No, this is a big one. This has been the big ear perker, I think, on my side, for sure. Next point, crackdown on offshore tax havens. So this is an interesting one. And they're also offering up to 20% of recovered funds to whistleblowers.
Sounds like a snitch line. I don't know about this one.
Yeah, this is something that's happening. I think both sides are hitting this point, but this is really funny.
Well, there's a lot of talk of Carney and where his money's been and kind of the amount of tax shielding he's done, which is rich from a party who's taxed so heavily that he's using a loophole to protect a lot of that. So I think this is kind of a shot at, hey, we're doing this because look what the Liberal Party's done.
Yeah.
I don't know how efficient this is going to be, but all right, cool.
It's a promise.
We'll see what happens. I'll cash in on that 20%. I won't. I don't know anyone with offshore accounts. All right, let's talk about the Liberals now.
All right, let's get into Liberals. So Liberals, let's start with the very first thing that we talked about with Conservatives, which is lowering the same tax bracket. But they're lowering it only to 14%.
Not to the 12.75.
So not to the 12.75.
Doesn't sound as sexy when you say a 1% reduction.
Yeah,
right?
No, it doesn't. Not a good headline.
Yeah.
But they're still making an initiative to do it, or at least saying that they're making an initiative to do it. We'll see what actually comes of it. That's one of them. Maintain current capital gains inclusion rate. This is another one. So I think what the Conservatives are trying to do is that new addition that took place with that inclusion rate that got hiked. They're trying to get rid of it, basically.
Okay, so let's deep dive into this point because this is a bit of a head scratcher here. Okay, so the Liberals decided to add an additional capital gains amount. Okay, part of the Liberal platform is we're going to scrap that. So the right hand scrapping what the left hand did. It's your party who did it, and now you're almost backtracking, saying, "Whoa, that was a mistake." And I want to remind everyone that last year there was a lot of panic around this time because they were saying, "Hey, as of June, I think it was June 1st this year, we're introducing this." So this whole program came out of nowhere with very little planning, put everyone in panic.
Yes.
For them to only say, "Okay, maybe we rushed this. Let's put a pause on this," and now they're saying, "You know what? We're gonna protect Canadians from a policy we introduced." I don't know. I mean, good on them for reducing it. I think that is the right move, but it doesn't win any points for me as like you're just fixing a problem you created.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool.
Love it. And then introduce a 15% maximum tax on top earners.
Okay.
This is removing their ability to artificially pay tax through excessive use of deductions and credits.
I don't know. Yeah, I hear them. I guess someone's got to pay for their policy, so they're trying to go after the top 1%. There's an argument to be made. Like, I don't think the Bezoses and the Musks of the world need that much wealth. And if you're talking about taxing them, yeah, I see that. I think there's a little bit of money to go around. But where I get a little bit, be careful here, is you don't want to target people who are actually moving the economy ahead. Like, what's their motivation? Yeah. If it's like, well, the more I make, the more you tax.
So that's the weird part, right? That's the weird line that we're always striding on when it comes to
wealth.
Taxation in general.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, I'm on the fence with this one. Yeah, I see the point, but the execution of it is not really much there to like get me to be like, oh, let's vote for Liberals for another 4 years.
So here's one that might lean a little more to the other side, which is implement a 10% luxury tax on high-end cars and boats.
Okay. I think this is one of the major issues we're dealing with. The rich buying boats. Let's hit them where it hurts. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit out of touch. And I think that's kind of what I felt with this whole, at least their wealth platform is a little bit out of touch of where things are, the importance of where things are at.
Yeah.
They want to increase, and this is, again, like, who designed this policy? They want to increase the guaranteed income supplement by 5%. Oh, okay. I like that. For 1 year.
Yeah.
You're in power for 4 years. At least,
At least do your term.
Yeah. Lie to me nicely. Tell me you're going to do it for 4 years. For 1 year. Okay. They want to reduce the minimum amount that must be withdrawn from RIF. So this is helping seniors by 25%.
Yeah.
For 1 year.
Yeah.
Good ideas. But 1 year, it's not really impacting the elderly that need it. We're talking about people, at the later stages of life who worked hard, who do deserve, I think, a little bit of a break. 1 year is just like dangling a carrot and taking it away. I don't know. Didn't really resonate with me. But Let's advance. NDP. Talk to me about them.
Okay, so NDP raised the basic personal exemption to 19,500.
Okay.
So currently you can earn up to 16,129, a very specific number, without being charged federal tax. If you're making under 177,000 per year. So they're raising that exemption basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice little boost, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one. Remove GST from essentials like groceries, diapers, and strollers.
Okay.
And remove GST from monthly bills such as cell internet and heating.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I just, the big question when you're talking about removing these is then who's paying for it?
Right.
Like, where are they getting this?
The extra income from?
Yeah.
Because it has to come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, you can't, unless you cut government spending. But I don't think NDP's...
They're more about spending
than cutting. Yeah, exactly.
All right. I hear you.
Implement national rent control.
Okay.
Yeah, they also, they want to do this by doing a new renter's bill of rights, basically. So they want to put everything that's currently today, if you buy something that's built after November 15th, 2018, that building and that if you're renting it out is not subject to rent control.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to follow the guidelines.
That's in Ontario, though.
That's on Ontario. Yeah. Right.
But they want to kind of quash that and have a national
full. Period.
I'm so against this.
Yeah.
I am so against this. As a landlord with several properties, yes, fairness needs to happen. We need tenants to be landlords. We can't just screw the tenants over. But it's been so lopsided for so long that any talk about further strengthening tenant rights, to me, right off the hop, I'm like, no, this is not like. Okay, and let me maybe take a step back. I think there's two types of landlords out there. There's the corporate landlords that have these apartment buildings with 500 units. All right, I see the point of putting rent control in there. But the mom and pops who have risked their assets and their hard work to put a tenant in there and the little protection they have, that's where the separation for me happens.
Right.
There's got to be some type of separation between the mom and pop landlords
It's such a good point.
and the corporate ones.
Yeah.
Because, the corporate ones are screwing for the sense of profit. That's a problem. But the mom and pops who have to wait 9 months at minimum to get a hearing from their tenant who hasn't paid and then chase them for another 6 months, hypothetically, to get that's just wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that's it's funny. I was about to just make a point on the opposite side, because I think there's a middle ground to be had, and I think that's one of those good ideas. Right now, when you hear people talk about landlords, it's one clean brushstroke, and it's just like landlords, corporate. Period. Bad, evil. Yeah. They're rich and they're just making tenants pay for everything. Right. Not the case. Absolutely not the case.
And I want to side with you and say tenants, not bad. Not like trying to suck the blood out of the stone out of landlords. That's not what majority of tenants are. No. But when it goes bad, it goes really bad.
Yes. Yeah. Because when you get sour and you can play some whatever cards that you want to play. Yeah. And not to say that landlords have there's landlords out there that are, that have crossed that line.
Absolutely.
It happens on both sides.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things is it's a whole landlord tenant board hearing that needs to take place. If we're talking about rent control in particular, because that is one of the things, that's one of the main points that was brought up is I think there's guidelines that would be, let's call it this. I would be on board if the guidelines were not as low as they are, basically. Right now, the government guidelines are very minimal. And if you lock in something as a renter, you can be in the same spot. There's people that are paying like, well below market rent.
Right.
And I think that I don't know, there's a line to be, I think there's a line to find basically when it comes to how much those guidelines actually, but rent control, I don't think is a bad thing when things get really heated.
Right.
So I think there's some solution to be found in there.
Yeah. Rent control is fine as long as there's another tool that when someone's been in a place for 20 years, that the landlord does have some form of way to bring it up to market values, not to gouge somebody but both sides are imbalanced.
It's imbalanced. Yeah. I think that's the big point.
Yeah, and when I start hearing talks about more rights, that's when I think I get a little bit
cautious. Yeah,
like what's going on here? Okay.
Let's keep moving because we got a lot of points to go through for sure.
Corporate tax.
Increased corporate tax from 15% to 18%.
Okay. So this ties back to what you were saying before. No GST on diapers and this is how I feel they're going to be paying for that.
Right.
But this ties into what I was saying about the Liberals is when you start penalizing those that are
pushing the economy
ahead,
forward.
Yeah. They're going to find other places to make their money.
Yeah.
So sounds good in paper. Not quite sure how well it's going to be executed.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's something it's so easy to say, just tax the rich. It's easy. They make so much money, just tax the rich.
Tax the rich.
But it doesn't, it doesn't work that easily.
Yeah.
When you actually look at it. Increase the capital gains inclusion rate.
Okay, so
this is another NDP.
What they're saying is, Liberals, what you proposed last year that put everyone in a paddock, we like that. Let's keep moving with that. Let's just make that happen. Whereas the other two major parties are both saying, scrap it. This was a bad idea. So take it what you want. That's their stance on it.
Yep. Cool. That's kind of the high level of
taxation and wealth. Yeah. All right, let's move on to housing because that's kind of
this is what we're at. Okay, so housing. Let's start with conservatives again.
Yeah.
No GST on new homes under 1.3 million.
Sorry, what kind of homes?
New homes under 1.3 million for all buyers.
Oh, what's a new home, Joey?
Pre-construction home.
Right. So let's be very clear here. Let's not get lost in the headline and think that, no GST. Resale, you don't pay it anyways.
Yes.
So there is no tax on resale homes. There is a small caveat if the home was greatly renovated, but we're not going to get into the nitty gritties. 99.9% of the time, you're not paying GST on a new home, on a resale home. So this only applies to pre-construction, all buyers under 1.3 million.
Yep.
I don't know how much of a needle this is going to move to help with housing affordability. Because the reality is there isn't a lot of end users buying pre-construction.
Not right this second there isn't. I mean, hopefully this changes in the future. But right now it's because of the fact that pre-construction is egregiously priced.
Yeah.
And it's really tough. And hopefully GST ends up allowing a little bit less of that, of that price kick up that needs to happen when it comes to needing to sell it. Do I agree with you? And I don't know how much of the needle that's going to move. Yes, 100%.
Right.
But at least I'll take it. I'll still take it, basically, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I'm going to try to change your mind on this.
Okay.
This is the only thing that I have an issue with. The developer doesn't have to reduce their price. They're just going to keep that difference of GST. So it's not like, let's say the GST is $80,000. They're going to reduce the price of that home by $80,000. They're just going to keep that profit.
Okay, so I'm gonna counter you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna counter you, which is, yes, 100%. If that's the case for things that they've bought, but their numbers can start making more sense at a cheaper rate, basically, on the land that they buy and the plans that they start with.
Okay.
So this could allow for more room for new purchases and for new builds and new plans. There's more margin, basically, that they can actually work with instead of being like, it doesn't even make sense for me to build right now. I'm just gonna not do anything. So it could add more inventory to that.
All right.
To the
Fair. We'll call it a draw.
Yeah. That's
it. So to sum up this point, not a major needle mover, but better than nothing.
Yeah.
And a good incentive to hopefully spur more developers to build.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We'll leave it there.
All right.
Okay. Tie. So this is another interesting one. Mr. PP wanted to. Everybody's calling him PPs. I love it.
We should do a whole section on all their nicknames.
Is there?
Carney was carbon tax Carney.
Okay, yeah.
Then spoiler alert, we're gonna get into it. He scrapped the carbon tax, and now I think they call him Creepy Carney.
Is that a new nickname?
I don't know. It's so stupid. It's like childish games. But anyhow, PP.
So Mr. PP wants to basically tie immigration levels to housing supply.
Okay.
So it's not exactly specific how he wants to do it.
Yeah.
But he basically wants to be able to. This is a little more on the immigration than it is on the housing. But he wants to slow immigration down to the point where we can build quick enough to, or the amount of people that we're letting in.
Okay, immigration is a very trippy topic
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons. There's a whole racism side of things, which can be argued ad nauseum, but also like. We've seen a big drop in the Toronto real estate market as a result of a lot of the immigration halts that have happened. And as a lot of these foreign students no longer need to rent here, these landlords had to reduce their rents.
Right.
So on one side of your breath, it's like, immigration's out of control. But on the other side, they're also the ones paying your mortgage. So I agree immigration needs to be looked at a little bit closer and tighter. I think they let too many in too quickly. But now we have so much open vacancy that it's like, well, who's going to fill these places?
Yeah.
So, before you think immigration is bad, see both sides of the spectrum, I guess is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish Mr. PP, Mr. Pierre would have kind of elaborated on this. It sounds very interesting, and I think this is maybe the right approach. But tell me more.
Yeah.
Give me some more juice, baby.
That's they ended it there. Like that, the whole segment was just, we need to tie it with immigration, and that's where it ended.
Okay.
Next up.
Yeah.
Is this you?
Yeah, I'll tackle this one. This
Okay.
is something I found a little bit deeper. That's right. So cities would be expected to increase the number of homes they build by 15% each year, and they're going to offer bonuses to the municipalities that surpass that target.
Right.
So for every dollar of development taxes cut, the Conservative government would match that amount to a max of $25,000 a home, reducing the price by about $50,000. And it's going to sell off 15% of federally owned buildings, so the land can be used to build affordable homes. There's a lot I just said there.
Yeah.
There's a lot I said there.
Let's go over it.
But one big part is one of the big challenges that a lot of developer faces is how many development charges the city charges for them to build.
Right.
And it's a very delicate teeter-totter experience because the city needs that revenue to keep functioning, so they charge the developers who are profiting. The developers are saying, well, there's not enough meat on the bone for us to build more homes, therefore you're going to have a shortage. And I think this is one of those multifaceted approaches where we have to look at changing the cap rates, capital tax rate to allow for more supply to come. It's not just build. That's not our only tool that we should be using. There's other mechanisms we should be kind of focusing on. Mm-hmm. I think this is good, but it goes back to the whole GST thing of, are the developers just going to keep that profit, or are those savings going to be passed on to the buyers? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the real question.
I also don't think you should have a set number of you have to build 15% more per year. What if there is no immigration, especially with what's going on in the world right now?
Yeah.
So you're going to be building for who? Like, it sounds good to say increase supply, but I think it's got to be like a check and balance of, do we need the supply? And also, what type of supply are we building?
That was the question I was about to ask you, because that's another big piece of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't just say what constitutes housing? How many studios are you going to build?
Thank you.
And especially for immigration too. You have families coming. How many? They're all just going to take one unit each?
Well, we've seen it. You know how many? Like if maybe 5-8 years ago, if I was representing a landlord and a family of 3 came to look at a 1+ den, it was an instant no. Like,
yeah.
Where are you guys going to live? There's not enough space for you. This is very normal now.
Yeah.
You'll have a family of 3, maybe even a family of 4 in a 1+ den.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine like the tight quarters people are in to try and get themselves started off. So it's got to be a focus on, I think, building the right type of supply.
Yeah, I think that needs to be talked about a lot more. Yeah, 100%.
You want to run for politics? The Market Joey Party of Toronto? We'll save it for 4 years.
Yeah,
We'll work on our platforms.
We got to finish our vigilante.
Our
vigilante
that.
we got going on.
Cracking down on UPS trucks blocking lanes. Yeah, I forgot about that journey that we were on. And then the last piece I want to say, they want to implement a NIMBY fine. You know what a NIMBY is?
Yes.
Not in my backyard for those unfamiliar with the term. And it's people who fight proposals for developers to build. And it's a very prominent issue in Toronto here. The Conservatives want to issue a fine on municipalities that allow them for egregious opposition.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I scratched my head on that one. Like, really? Did you have to go there? I don't know how effective that's going to be and how they're going to implement that. But all right, cool.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Liberals.
All right, Liberals.
Yes.
They also want to remove GST. But they're doing it a little bit different. They're removing it only for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
And the price point is $1 million that they're capping it at.
And what style of home, Joey?
First-time home buyers.
But is it resale or new?
New. I think this is new.
It's new only.
Yeah.
So this is another thing. So it's basically a watered-down version of what the Conservatives are proposing.
Pretty much.
Same story, just only $1 million, and only if you're a first-time home buyer.
Yes. Yeah.
This ain't moving the needle. So it's a lot of talk, not a lot of
actual.
efficiency.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
They also want to create a Build Canada Homes corporation, basically, which is a Crown corporation that's going to build affordable housing on the Crown land.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't believe this one at all.
Yeah.
I also don't have a lot of faith in a government-backed initiative to build housing. Like
100%.
You can't even roll out the simple things, right? You're going to build homes? I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be, if it does happen, it's going to be really inefficient. It's going to be very expensive, and it's going to be worse built than if somebody who does it on a daily basis does it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And like I'm going to put my tin hat on here. There's so many TikTok theories about what this actually means. Is it like Carney's Brookfield Properties putting trailer homes on government land? It gets deep when you really start. So don't watch TikTok is my point.
Okay, and then we're going to talk about allocating $25 billion for prefab housing.
So this is where these conspiracy theories come in.
Let's
So they're going to put aside $25 billion to make prefabricated homes that are essentially like these trailer park styled of home. I shouldn't say that. That's not really accurate to what it is. But basically, they build these homes in factories and then ship them up to lands.
Yes.
Attach them to the utilities, and there you go. You have an affordable house. Here's my question: Who owns these homes? Sounds like the government owns them.
100%.
So are we paying rent to the government? I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's. It sounds like. I mean, and then it's $25 billion for prefab housing, and then $10 billion for affordable housing. So yes.
So like, but I don't expect you to know the answer to this. But let's say they build these $25 billion worth of homes. Can I, a civilian, go out and buy them, or
that's the question.
Building them for Canadians to rent, and then the Canadian government becomes a landlord?
Yeah, that's the question mark, right?
So even if you agree with that and think that is the right approach, let's say we change government parties, in 4 years, Liberals win this time, Conservative. Do the Conservatives now become your landlord?
Right.
It's one of those pie in the sky ideas that maybe sounds good, but we need more info on this.
That's funny. Yeah. Actually, that's a thought I never had before. Yeah.
Stay off TikTok.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thoughts on there.
I love it. And then this is
the last point. Yeah. So they want to invest $74 million to improve critical housing and infrastructure. But this is mainly in the north. And this is interesting. Maybe I'm just paying more attention to politics this time around, but there's a lot of emphasis on building the northern part of Canada up.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. It's essential. It's necessary, but like so much of our population,
it's weather.
Yeah.
It's weather.
Thank you. Yeah.
Everybody wants to be in the warmest part, and nobody wants to sit in snow for 90% of the year.
Yeah. So I'll say this, from what I've been able to research, it seems like the Liberals are the only ones mainly talking about developing more in the north. So if that's important to you, then this is the party that's doing it.
Yeah.
I don't really see it, but anyhow, that's just my take on it.
NDP. Let's get into NDP.
Sure.
Okay. So they want to build 500,000 affordable homes.
Yeah.
The NDP would put in place $16 billion strategies to support building those affordable homes. They want to ban corporate investors from snapping up single-family homes. And yeah, those are the three big ones.
Okay, so the build 500,000 affordable homes. How? You're going to take $16 billion and do it. Okay, same questions like where, how are you acquiring the land, who's building it? Not a lot of details. And I will say this, it's clear, it's not my opinion. The NDP is a distant third in this race. And I feel like there's a lot of Hail Marys they're throwing. Like, remember like when you're in school and you're trying to run for class president and you're like, I'm going to extend recess. Yeah. You have no control over extending recess.
Yes, yeah.
That's what this sounds like to me. Like, oh, you know what? This is what we're going to do. And it's like, you could say anything when you're not really.
Right. There's a pretty good chance you're not having to hold up.
You're going to have to
those
deliver
promises.
on that promises.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like that's been a lot of the NDP is just like, here's these wild ideas that sound good, but we're not going to, I don't see how they could ever deliver on them. I will say this, ban corporate investors from snapping up single family homes. Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I would be on board with that.
I'm not. Yeah, that sounds like a very logical thing to do. I think I need a little bit more clarity on what a corporate investor is. Is it someone with a corporation, like an independent, or are we talking again these big firms who are going to be taking out supply to create market rent? I can see that being a problem.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, totally. And then the last thing is what we kind of already talked about, which is rent and tenant protections.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that path again.
Yep.
Not a fan of that.
All right. So climate and energy.
Yes, climate and energy. So why are we talking about climate and energy? We're not the most, tree hugging people out there.
Yep.
I don't think we attend very many of these type of political things, but it's become, whoa, what did we just do here?
Oh, sorry, I'm messing with it. I'm closing them as we finish.
Okay, sorry. Point what I was trying to make here. I struggle with the whole conversation around climate. And the reason why we're including it in this podcast is because, especially in the Liberal government, we've had to pay this thing called a carbon tax.
Yeah, this is why I left this portion in.
And I'm glad you did, because you don't have to be a super environmentalist to have an opinion about the climate and about carbon tax, because it's something that we've all been impacted by in our taxes and what we've had to pay. And I think, I'm just going to say this. I believe in climate change, but I don't believe in our solutions of how we're trying to fix it. I don't think the argument of like, oh, look, the world's not changing. It clearly is. There's no doubt in my mind. The problem I have is the way we're trying to tackle this by taxing Canadians to pay for other countries' pollution, I don't think is right.
No, I don't either. It's a little bit weird where it's, if you need to get to work and you just get taxed more to get there, you're not going to stop driving all of a sudden.
Right. And you're also not fixing the climate problem.
Right.
When you have other countries that are producing far worse than anything Canadians are, but we're paying for it.
Yeah.
I completely disagree with that concept altogether. And I don't necessarily think that paying more money is fixing it. It's one of those things where the whole world collectively has to buy into a plan.
Right.
You can't have individual countries
trying to do a little portion of it.
It doesn't work like that. And it's very bizarre to me that this is the path we keep taking of like, well, let's just keep trying. Like, it ain't getting better. Let's maybe think of something else. So all that being said, let's get into it.
Okay, so I'm sure everybody's heard, the Conservatives want to basically axe the tax.
Axe the tax, baby!
Yes, they want to get rid of that's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
And they believe that the Liberals are, they're keeping it in play, basically.
Yeah.
Even though it's off. It's currently off.
Okay, I'm glad you're asking that.
Yes.
Okay, because this is a point of confusion, and I think I was victim of not completely understanding this. There's two ways of thinking of carbon taxes: us, the individual, and the corporate. Okay, PP, Mr. Pierre, his plan is to scrap all of it, both sides of it. The Liberals, when Carney came into power about a month ago, scrapped the consumer. I don't know about you, but have you filled up gas lately? It's like 40 cents cheaper.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I think that is the right move.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a proponent of the Conservatives scrapping both, because I think it's going to make life a lot more affordable. We're not spending this large portion to a problem that we're not fixing.
Right.
And it's not our responsibility as citizens of Canada to fix the world's problems. That's my stance.
Yeah. I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have that stance.
Yeah.
You're definitely not alone with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, sorry. That bothers me.
Yeah. So Conservatives as well, they want to support the East to West pipeline. The party would be opening to exporting oil from the Port of Churchill and has pledged to speed up the development of the port, something that Liberals also announced in March.
Right. So last night in the debate, that was a hot topic. I'm not going to get too deep in this pipeline, but basically Quebec is part of the problem. Not the problem, but it's a definitely one piece of the puzzle that needs to be addressed and looked at. So both the Conservatives and Liberals are open to extending the pipeline, but the problem comes, will Quebec allow for that? And that's a hot topic that there's no answer to at this point.
Right.
But especially with what's going on in the States right now, we do need to look at opening up and doing more with the natural resources we have. The Conservatives, I think, have a good plan to make that happen.
Yeah. Should we talk about Liberals?
Yeah, we should.
Okay. Liberals want to cut the consumer side of the carbon tax, which we talked about.
Yeah, which they already did.
Which they did, yeah. And they plan to introduce incentives to help families invest in clean energy, including reinstating a zero emissions vehicle subsidy program.
Yeah. I don't know. When I read all this, it's just like, we don't have a plan. This is not going to fix your problem with pollution.
Right.
And this is a point example of like, there's not much being said here aside from the clean energy. What does clean energy mean? Does it mean nuclear? I don't know, but please be a little bit more specific. And there's not a lot there that we could really draw from that. So let's look at the NDP.
NDP supported the removal of the consumer carbon pricing. So they're in line with the Liberals. The party would keep the industrial carbon price.
Okay. And there's one other one I want to tackle. This is the one I found that I think is the most head scratching and kind of just killed any fate I have in the NDP being a serious party. They want to continue a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles. Okay. But they're going to introduce a rebate to Canadian families and businesses of $10,000 if you buy or lease a Canadian manufactured zero emission vehicle. What do you think of that?
Fantastic.
Okay. Follow-up question. Can you name one Canadian manufactured zero emissions vehicle?
No.
You know why you can't? Doesn't exist. There's a company called Aero that in 2023 released a concept vehicle of what that would look like. You cannot buy that car because they're not manufacturing that car. So this whole point, and I Googled like 15 different queries to try and find, like, there's got to be, give me some. There's no car. So everything I just said doesn't even exist. You can't get the $10,000 credit because there's no car to buy that in at the moment. And as far as I know, there's no plans to introduce a Canadian manufactured zero emission vehicle.
No, there is not.
So there is a follow-up that if you buy any other type of zero emissions vehicle, you get a $5,000 credit. So, okay, cool. But this just blows my mind that they would even talk about something like that when this doesn't exist.
Hail Marys. They're throwing Hail Marys.
Yeah, I guess. Also, why are we so against Chinese made things? Our whole lives, everything's been made in China, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's throw a tariff on Chinese cars. If you care about the environment so much and the Chinese are making zero emissions vehicles, bring them over.
Yeah.
You want to fix the world. You want to charge us taxes, but you don't want to introduce these vehicles that can solve a big part of the problem.
Well, that's the part that threw me. For 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles at a starting point seems really intense as like a working backwards type of situation.
We scream about the environment, we tax this, but yet we don't use a big tool that can help in the emissions that these cars are emitting. We don't have any Canadian manufactured zero emissions vehicles. We definitely should be using the Chinese made ones. That's my stance.
Yeah.
This blows my mind that this is like an issue that we have. Like there's this, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like tainted to even talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm all for it.
Shall we move forward?
I guess. Yeah. That was my rant.
Let's do it.
All right.
Healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare. Okay. So conservatives cut federal health spending by $53 billion over 5 years. They want no new programs, and they want to basically leave it up to the provinces. And they oppose the pharmacare program.
I mean, cutting health spending sounds bad to me. I don't know how you feel with that, but I think we should be investing more in it.
I also agree with you. Yeah, we've had. I totally agree with that. This is a weird one. This is a weird one for me.
It's healthcare.
Yeah,
it's so important. I think we definitely should be. Maybe we should take some of that carbon tax money and put it towards healthcare.
Yeah,
improve. Waiting 12 hours to fix a broken arm at a hospital. It doesn't. I don't know. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I totally am against this one.
Okay, but this is the part that I do think impacts us here in Toronto, and I'm glad that this has been talked about with the Conservatives. They want to abolish supervised consumption sites and promote recovery and rehab. They'd be open to imposing mandatory drug treatment on minors and prisoners when they're found incapable of making their own decisions. Okay, that part sounds a little bit weird. I don't know how you deem if someone's able to make their decisions, especially on drug use.
Yep.
But the big problem we have here is the parks. The parks in Toronto are completely taken over by a lot of people using drugs, and Trinity Bellwoods Park, I think they picked up 10,000 needles out of it.
Oh, get out of here.
Dude, 10,000. That's there's a problem happening here. I don't know if abolishing supervised consumption sites is the solution, but I do think this is under healthcare, and we need a lot more attention paid to what's going on.
Totally. The solution needs to be, I think, changed, at least, or altered or looked at, definitely.
Absolutely.
Because 100%. It's out in the streets and it's very accessible.
Yeah.
Walking through the park and finding needles is not something you want to be doing on a regular basis. And that's what's kind of been happening even during the pandemic.
COVID is what really jump-started all of this.
Yes.
How bad it's gotten. And I don't know what the solution is. It's not an easy topic to just say, do this and it's going to be fixed. But the ways we've been tackling it has not been working. And there's been so many instances that I've seen in person. But someone peed on my car. Like
recently?
Yeah. Yesterday, yeah, I'm not getting into it, but yeah, there's it's really hard to live in the city with all that's going on out there, and there needs to be a little bit more
attention to this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Liberals.
Yeah.
National pharmacare rollout, starting with the essential meds. They want to expand dental care to low and middle income earners and boost mental health transfers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, not much there, but okay, cool.
Yeah, basically for pharmacare and opposes pharmacare, I think, is the kind of big points that that's the two parties have. And then NDP, full universal pharmacare, they're on board for. free dental for all uninsured Canadians, and add mental health, vision, and hearing to public coverage.
Okay. I grew up at a time when dental care was included, and then it was taken away. And I think this is a good idea. But the problem with the NDP is, how do you support it? And they're not really clear on, besides taxing the rich, how all these programs are going to be rolled out. But I'll tell you what my one problem with all three of these parties is, there's no talk on like meditation, mindfulness, things you could do to keep yourself healthier so we don't have so much of a strain on the healthcare system. I really wish any of them had some type of plan to talk about like things you could do on an individual level to not require so much money to maybe be used on healthcare.
Right.
And so much reliance on medication. I think this is like a long time before we'll ever hear any political party go that route, but there's...
Yeah. We'll be afar from that point.
I think so. Yeah. I know maybe I'm my own pie in the sky wishing here, but there should be a little bit
more emphasis on it.
Yeah, man. Like, just if you could stay healthy, then we don't have so much of a strain on
in the first place
needed. Yeah. But it's a bigger topic that I don't think we're going to solve on this.
Yep.
I wanted to squeeze this in somewhere and I didn't know where, but can we talk about guns for a minute?
Okay.
Okay. Guns is a very hot topic in Canada, especially with our neighbors to the south. And, you know, we don't need to get into what's the right side of it, but we have a gun problem. And I think we can all agree on that. A lot of the crimes that are being committed, though, are being committed with illegal guns.
Right.
So it's not the legal gun owners that are out there doing mass shootings or all that type of things that we're hearing in the news. And there hasn't been a lot of emphasis on where the root of the problem is. From everything I've been reading, it's guns being smuggled up from the south, from the U.S. And I really wish this was a hotter topic because we clearly have a crime problem, especially in the city of Toronto. Full disclosure, I am a licensed firearms holder. I did the course and it was really eye-opening for me. There is so much responsibility that comes with owning a gun and what you can and can't do with it. And it blows my mind with how easily someone can illegally get one and how hard it is for someone to legally get one. So I just want to take a quick look at this because the Liberals aren't really saying much about what they're going to be doing to stopping gun flow up. And I think this is a big topic that should be addressed. Both the Conservatives and the NDP do have a plan to increase the amount of security guards on the border. The NDP want to bring 1,100 more security guards and the Conservatives want to bring 2,000. In addition, the Conservatives also want to set up a lot of tracking devices to stop car theft and to detect when guns are being smuggled in. They seem, from what I could research, to be the only party talking about that. And I think that is a topic that
it's more important.
It's very important. Yeah. The amount of responsibility you have as a gun owner is, I think it's right. I think they are. It's very tough, and I think it should be very tough. But it's a little backhand to the face when some guy can just go pick one up illegally and cause damage.
Right.
It's there's a lot to talk about there. I just want to say that I think kudos to both the Conservatives and the NDP for addressing it, and shame on the Liberals for not, because they've been doing the most amount of gun reduction for legal owners, yet gun crime is spiking. So if you just look at the numbers, your approach to this isn't working. Right. And I think there needs to be a little bit more
of an adjustment.
No, not a little bit, a lot more attention paid to it because it's a very big problem.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This is news to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you how I found this tidbit as we get into media and culture as our bonus round. We're about to wrap it up here. So kudos to everyone who's listened to our deep dive so far. Go into it.
Okay. Media and
bonus round. Media and culture. What are they going to be doing for it?
Okay. So again, I'm bringing this up for one specific reason. The Conservatives want to defund the CBC's English programming. Okay. And they also want to keep French language content.
Trying to appeal to the Quebec voters.
Yep.
Got it.
Liberals, they want to increase the CBC funding.
Okay.
And continue support for Canadian culture.
Okay.
NDP maintain CBC funding across the board.
Okay. So the big takeaway, as you put this so eloquently, if you like Murdoch mysteries, you know which party to vote for. I had an interesting experience with this topic.
Okay.
So I would say prior to posing this section, I was like, we shouldn't be funding the CBC. Like, I could see why that's a problem. Most of my research
was from
the CBC. They put together a really good summary of each party in a very non-biased way.
Right.
I thought they did a really good job breaking it down. And you might not know this, but there's actually 6 major parties running in the election.
Right.
So you have the Liberal, Conservative, the NDP, you have the Bloc Québécois, you have the Green Party, and then there's the People's Party. People's Party's out there, man.
yeah.
But anyways, I was able to go to this really unbiased comparison on the CBC website, which covers something like 15 to 20 topics and where each party stands on it. And so I think there definitely is a place for CBC in Canada. I'm sure we could look at the way they're funded. Maybe less government funding, but allow them to be profitable in other ways.
Right.
Open up other avenues for them to fund themselves. I think that would be a good middle ground.
Right. I have I have a little bit of mixed feelings about that.
Okay.
There's it's interesting because once you start opening it up to new avenues, then you become subject to whoever's funding it and being the bias basically following wherever the money goes.
I hear you. And I think I do feel the CBC does lean to one side. I think there should be a little bit more balance there for sure. But this is the media. This is, I think, the way the divisiveness of the world we're in. It is very, you're one side or the other.
Right.
So
true.
I guess the jury's out on this one.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say was I do see the value in having it. Prior to this podcast, I was like, yeah, they fund the CBC, but and giving it some actual thought and seeing there's a place for it. Definitely, there's a place for it.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to predict who's going to win?
Oh, this is a real neck and neck.
I agree. I'm struggling to give you a straight answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I have one. The media,
the polls are saying Liberals.
The polls are saying Liberals right now.
As of today, I think they've got a 6 or 7 point lead over the Conservatives.
Yeah.
The streets are saying the Conservatives. Everyone I'm talking to who's not online is like, oh, the Conservatives are going to win it. I think the consensus is the NDP don't have a shot in hell.
Yeah.
That seems to be universal on both online and offline. But I think we're probably going to have a minority government. Yeah, I think it's going to be split between the Conservatives and the Liberals.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Conservative minority government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Liberal minority, yeah. Conservatives will win, but there'll be a minority government.
I'll go opposing.
Okay.
For the sake of, well, A, an interesting bet. And B, there's something that Mr. PP is doing when it comes to his strategy right now that I think is at his fault. And I think is going to end up kind of screwing him down the line.
What do you think that is?
This lack of media exposure, lack of addressing. He's got a very strict 4-question policy on his. There's just some stuff that he's doing that could have been done better.
I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And I find it really odd that is the case because I do think between him and Carney, he is the better speaker. I think he talks and communicates a lot better than Carney. One thing Carney does, small tick, but it drives me nuts. Yeah. He lists points and then he tells you, okay, point 1, point 2, point 3. I've seen him do it multiple times. Whatever, it is what it is. I think Pierre is a better communicator, yet he's not putting himself in front of enough media outlets to get his voice heard.
Yeah.
Which really bizarre that
I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
I don't know the reasoning for it and why he's really committed to that he hasn't shifted. A lot of people are talking about the fact that he hasn't shifted his strategy since Carney took over.
At this late in the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Hasn't really been on many podcasts. I think that's what helped Trump win a lot is he went on a lot of
nonstop
everyday podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very easy way for Pierre to get his message out, but not really done that yet.
It's very controlled the way he's doing it. And I think that's ultimately going to, we'll see.
So you think Liberals will win with the minority or Liberals will win majority?
No, I'll say minority.
Okay. So I'm saying Conservatives win minority. You're saying Liberals win minority.
Yeah.
And that brings us no closer to, that's pretty much what everything seems to be coming back with, this mixed message of wait and see.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for listening to this in-depth, about 1 hour plus episode.
Yeah, we did a lengthy one on this one.
I learned a lot doing research in this. I think I'm still voting with who I thought I was voting to prior to doing this podcast. I think I have a little bit more knowledge, and I'm happy that I know a little bit more about the party that I'm going to be voting for. And I guess in the next 4 years, we'll see if it's the right choice or not.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Love it.
Any salutes?
Salutes, Second City, salute Andor.
Yeah. Because we need comedy in times like this.
We do.
Yeah.
It was actually very nice to just take a weight off yesterday night.
Like that. I would like to salute Bauhaus for their delicious bao buns. I think you should try it if you're in the city. And whoever you're voting for, we're all people.
100%.
And it doesn't matter. Just
It's really important not to be super decisive right now, or super divisive. Thank
Yeah, you should be super decisive.
Yes, be decisive, 100%.
But don't be divisive. That's our message of the day. Be decisive, not divisive.
That's beautiful.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thanks for listening to the Toronto Living's Real Estate Podcast. You could find more information on how we work over at torontolivings.com. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter to get price reports from over 150 different neighborhoods in the city each and every month.
If you got any value, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you made it this far, thanks for listening.